What's up guys, Lifting here. Welcome back to the 6th video in the series where we talk about what kind of stats or affixes one should want to get on an item in order for it to be either good, useful or valuable. In this episode we will be talking about amulets. And keep in mind that the stats or properties one wants on his or her equipment of course depends on the build you're running, but the stats that I'm going to recommend to you here in this video is most likely always going to be either good or useful for your character, or at least valuable to sell to other players. Also remember that any rare item can have a total of 6 affixes, where 3 of those are prefixes and the remaining 3 are suffixes. And in order to get a really good item you need the 6 most attractive or useful affixes that an item can roll. Besides rolling the right affixes, you also want to roll the highest tier of these affixes, and depending on the item level of the item you're able to roll different tiers of the prefixes and suffixes. And you can say that in general the higher item level the better tier of the affixes, the better it gets. So let's get started. Amulets come in 10 different variants: the Power, Coral, Amber, Jade, Lapis, Gold, Onyx, Agate, Turquoise and Citrine amulets. And while all of these, except for the Coral amulet, are useful, the most valuable or useful of these are typically the hybrid attribute boosters such as the Agate, Turquoise, Citrine and Onyx amulets, simply because they help players reach the attribute requirements of their gear or skill gems for that matter. So let's take a look at the prefixes and suffixes that these amulets can roll, but for simplicity's sake, instead of showing you all 15 prefixes and 23 suffixes that these amulets can roll, like I normally would do in my other videos, I'm simply going to show you the most valuable of these. However, since amulets both cater to attack or spell-based builds, I'm going to show you the most useful affixes types for each type of character. So let's start with attack-based characters, and the most valuable prefixes an amulet can roll for these type of characters is increased maximum life, weapon elemental damage, added minimum and maximum physical damage or elemental damage for that matter, armor evasion and energy shield, and mana and life leech. The most valuable suffixes is accuracy rating, fire, cold and lightning resistance, increased all elemental resistances, strength, dex or intelligence attributes, increased critical strike chains, and increased critical hit multiplier. For spellcasters, the most useful prefixes or valuable prefixes is increased maximum life, armor evasion and energy shield, increased spell damage and increased maximum mana. So not too much difference here for the prefixes. However, for suffixes, spellcasters want increased cast speed, increased fire, cold or lightning damage, fire, cold and lightning resistances, increased all elemental resistances, mana regeneration rate, increased critical strike chains, and increased critical hit multiplier. And remember that as any other rare item, an amulet can only have 3 of each prefix and suffix, so that obviously means that you can't roll all of these onto one item. However, these affixes are all valuable, and if you get a mix of these with good tier rolls, you're on the path to having a valuable item. Now keep in mind that with all these affixes there's obviously a ton of different combinations of good amulets, but let me show you a few examples from PoE trade that I consider valuable based on the prefix and suffix recommendations that I have just given you. This first amulet you see here have 3 valuable prefix and suffix rolls. The prefixes are life, spell damage and increased crafted energy shield. The suffixes are the remaining cast speed, fire damage and fire resistance. And it doesn't require too much insight to understand that any fire-based spellcaster would greatly benefit from wearing this amulet. And besides that, it is on a decent base, the Agate amulet, that provides both strength and intelligence. Now the other example I want to show you guys is an amulet that caters more to the attack-based type of character, and just like the amulet before, it has both 3 valuable prefixes and suffixes. The prefixes are the added physical damage, life and life leech. The remaining intelligence, lightning resistance and life leech rolls are the suffixes, and furthermore this amulet is also on a good base, namely the Citrine amulets. The third and last example I'm going to show you is a crit based amulet that can work for both caster or attack based characters. It has 3 valuable suffix rolls but only 1 prefix roll. That does not, however, have to be a bad thing, as it opens up for crafting or exalting possibilities. The prefix on this item is the life roll, and the suffix rolls are the remaining increased global critical chains, multiplier and lightning resistances. Additionally, this amulet is on the Onyx base, which only serves to increase its value because of the added attribute rolls. And honestly guys, amulets can be somewhat confusing as they have such a broad appeal to different character builds because there's so many different affixes to roll. And for that reason, it is important that you understand that what I've said in this video is simply a general guideline of sort of what makes an amulet valuable. As always, I will leave a link to poemods.com in the description. In here you can look up the specific items and see what kind of affixes it can roll and what item level they require to get the good tier rolls. Anyway guys, I hope you found this useful. Remember to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and bros, do you even nerd?